The 65th Grammy Awards in Los Angeles was more than an awards show. It was a cultural moment. For Kendrick Lamar, standing backstage, clutching his golden trophy, the noise and flashing cameras faded as he realized how far he'd come from Compton's concrete blocks. The win wasn't just his. It belonged to his family, friends, and everyone who ever believed a kid from his neighborhood could change the world with words. He gave his acceptance speech with humility, thanking his collaborators and calling out the power of storytelling. As he stepped off stage, text messages flooded his phone, but one caught his eye. A simple, "Proud of you, nephew. Pull up if you can tonight, Snoop." That message hit deeper than all the applause. Snoop Dogg was a legend to Kendrick, a pioneer who had paved the way for so many. After the after-parties and interviews, Kendrick slipped away with Whitney, his fiancée, into the LA night. The streets were still, but his mind was racing. He wanted to talk to Snoop, thank him, to share the weight and joy of this moment with someone who truly understood the journey. Arriving at Snoop's home in Long Beach, Kendrick found the older rapper sitting outside, a familiar silhouette against the glow of the porch lights. They greeted each other not as celebrities, but as family. Snoop welcomed Kendrick with an embrace, offering him a seat and a drink. As they settled in, Snoop turned down the music and looked Kendrick in the eye. "That trophy's heavy, huh?" he asked. Kendrick nodded, the two sharing a quiet moment of mutual respect and understanding. The conversation began, not about fame, but about legacy, roots, and the future. Snoop listened as Kendrick shared his fears, his doubts, and his dreams. For both, the Grammy was a milestone, but it was also a responsibility. Snoop reminded Kendrick, "It's what you do next that matters, nephew." That night, a seed was planted, a plan that would ripple far beyond their conversation, touching countless lives. As dawn broke over Long Beach, Kendrick and Snoop moved from the porch to the studio, surrounded by gold records and photos from decades of hip-hop history. Kendrick asked Snoop what kept him grounded through years of fame, controversy, and personal change. Snoop shared stories of struggle and survival, the early days with Death Row, navigating fame, making mistakes, and finding redemption through music and community work. He spoke about the importance of staying connected to one's roots, of always giving back, and of lifting others as you rise. Kendrick listened intently, jotting down notes. He realized that for Snoop, music had always been about more than beats and rhymes. It was about using your platform for good, to inspire, educate, and uplift. They discussed the changing landscape of hip-hop, the responsibilities that came with success, and the challenges young artists faced. Snoop urged Kendrick to use his influence to open doors for others, to start something bigger than himself. Kendrick asked Snoop for advice on staying authentic amid industry pressure. Snoop grinned. "Be yourself, always. Don't chase what's hot. Create what's real. That's what lasts." They played some unreleased beats, trading verses and laughs, the studio alive with creative energy. It was a reminder of the joy and freedom that first drew them to hip-hop. Before Kendrick left, Snoop handed him a notebook filled with ideas and contacts for community projects. "Let's do something together for the kids in the city," he said. Kendrick promised he would. With a handshake and a hug, Kendrick stepped out into the morning, carrying more than just a Grammy. He carried the torch. Returning to Compton, Kendrick felt a surge of gratitude. He visited his old neighborhood, walking the familiar streets, greeted by old friends and neighbors who celebrated his win as if it were their own. At the local community center, Kendrick spoke with youth about his journey. He listened as they shared their hopes and struggles, recognizing himself in their stories. Many dreamed of music, but others aspired to college, business, or activism. Inspired by his conversation with Snoop, Kendrick announced he would launch a new mentorship initiative in partnership with Snoop Dogg. The program would offer workshops in music, writing, entrepreneurship, and leadership. The news traveled fast. Local media covered Kendrick's visit, highlighting his commitment to reinvesting. In his hometown, parents and teachers praised his efforts, while kids lined up to sign up for the first sessions. Kendrick began meeting weekly with a small group, guiding them through writing exercises, beat-making, and the art of storytelling. He invited guest speakers from across LA, creating a network of support for young talent. Word of the initiative spread, drawing support from local businesses, nonprofits, and artists eager to contribute. The center became a hub of creativity and hope, buzzing with energy after school and on weekends. As Kendrick watched his mentees grow in confidence, he felt a sense of fulfillment deeper than any trophy. The work was just beginning, but the impact was already visible. He often reminded the group, "Success isn't about leaving the block. It's about coming back and making it better." Inspired by their late-night talk, Snoop and Kendrick met regularly in the studio, not just to create music, but to build something for their community. Each session was a blend of creative magic and real-world planning. They recorded songs together, blending Snoop's laid-back style with Kendrick's sharp lyricism. The tracks spoke of hope, unity, and resilience, music that reflected the lives of the kids they were mentoring. Outside the booth, they brainstormed ways to expand their program. Ideas flowed: an annual youth festival, scholarships for college, a citywide open mic tour. Each idea was grounded in the belief that music and art could change lives. Snoop brought in his network, connecting Kendrick's mentees with industry professionals, producers, engineers, publicists, offering them opportunities to learn the ropes of the business. They filmed a documentary chronicling the journey of their mentorship program, capturing stories of transformation and perseverance. Clips from the studio, the streets, and the classrooms showed the ripple effect of two artists working in harmony for the greater good. As their songs came together, Snoop and Kendrick decided to release an EP featuring tracks written and performed by their mentees. The proceeds would fund scholarships and expand the program citywide. Late nights in the studio became a beacon of hope, proving that when artists unite with purpose, real change is possible. The release of the Mentorship EP made waves across LA and beyond. Local radio stations played the songs, giving airtime to voices from the neighborhood. Music blogs wrote about the Compton to Long Beach project, praising its authenticity and impact. The youth featured on the tracks gained newfound confidence. Their stories resonated with listeners, inspiring other kids to dream bigger. Some were invited to perform at city events. Others connected with professional mentors who helped refine their craft. Media outlets picked up the story, focusing on the partnership between Kendrick and Snoop. Interviews with the young artists revealed the profound impact of the program. Many credited it with changing the course of their lives. Schools in other cities reached out, asking for guidance on starting similar initiatives. The project's website was flooded with messages of gratitude and offers of support from around the country. Kendrick and Snoop received community awards for their service, but the real reward was in the faces of the youth they'd uplifted. At each showcase, the artists cheered the loudest, proud of every performance, every lyric, every new step forward. The ripple effect was undeniable. What started as a single conversation after the Grammys had become a movement of hope and opportunity. Kendrick realized that this, more than any award, was the legacy he wanted to leave. With the program thriving, Kendrick and Snoop sought to build bridges between neighborhoods often divided by history or circumstance. They hosted joint workshops in Compton, Long Beach, Watts, and Inglewood, breaking down barriers through music and dialogue. Each event was a melting pot of cultures and ideas. Students learned to collaborate, share resources, and appreciate each other's strengths. Guest artists led freestyle battles, poetry slams, and dance workshops, fostering unity through creative expression. Parents and community leaders were invited to roundtable discussions on the role of arts in education and violence prevention. Old rivalries faded as the focus shifted to shared goals and dreams. The Bridge the Gap initiative gained support from city officials, businesses, and celebrities, allowing Kendrick and Snoop to expand their reach. They launched an online platform connecting young creators across the nation. The program became a model for other cities, with mentors and alumni returning to lead the next wave. Kendrick often reflected on Snoop's advice: lift as you climb. Every new collaboration was a step toward a stronger, more united community. As summer ended, the artists planned a citywide festival: music, art, food, and celebration, proving that when bridges are built, everyone can cross to a brighter future. The citywide festival, dubbed Unity Day, drew thousands from across Los Angeles and beyond. Stages were filled with young performers, local legends, and special guests, all celebrating the power of creativity and community. National media covered the event, highlighting Kendrick and Snoop's partnership as a beacon of hope in troubled times. Interviews with youth participants revealed stories of transformation, students who had found their voice, stayed in school, or avoided trouble thanks to the program. Politicians and activists attended, taking note of the grassroots approach to violence prevention and youth empowerment. Grant funding increased, allowing the program to hire more staff and reach more neighborhoods. Kendrick and Snoop used their platform to call for greater investment in arts education nationwide. They spoke before Congress, advocating for policies that prioritized music and mentorship in underserved communities. The spotlight brought scrutiny, too. Some questioned whether celebrities could really solve systemic issues. Kendrick and Snoop welcomed the debate, inviting critics to see the results firsthand. Their commitment was unwavering. They knew real change took time, trust, and a willingness to listen and adapt. As the festival closed with a performance of their collaborative anthem, the crowd erupted in cheers, united by the belief that hope was worth fighting for. Years passed, but the mentorship program continued to flourish. Alumni returned as teachers and mentors, sharing their stories and encouraging the next generation. The annual festival grew into a city tradition, with new cities replicating the model. Kendrick and Snoop remained actively involved, mentoring new leaders and supporting community initiatives. They celebrated every milestone: college graduations, first albums, community awards, proud of the seeds they had planted. Documentaries and news specials chronicled the journey, shining a light on the lives changed and the lessons learned. Kendrick was often asked what his proudest moment was, and he always answered, "Seeing these kids take the stage, knowing they'll keep the work going." Snoop continued to host workshops, always reminding young artists to stay true to themselves and give back when they could. The spirit of mentorship became woven into the culture of LA's creative scene. At home, Kendrick watched his own children grow, teaching them the values he'd learned from Snoop and the community. He knew that the work would never truly be finished, but that was the point. As long as there were stories to tell and dreams to chase, the movement would live on. With the program's 10th anniversary approaching, Kendrick and Snoop organized a special reunion, inviting all past and present participants. The event was a joyful gathering. Music, laughter, tears, and gratitude filling the air. On stage, young artists performed songs that spoke of struggle and hope, honoring the mentors who believed in them. Kendrick and Snoop listened with pride, seeing the legacy of their friendship alive in every lyric and every smile. Community leaders spoke of the ripple effect, tracing the impact of the program across neighborhoods, schools, and families. Parents shared stories of transformation, of children who had found purpose, connection, and confidence through art. The night ended with a group performance of the anthem Kendrick and Snoop had written together years before. As the crowd sang along, both artists felt the power of what they'd built, a testament to the strength of unity, creativity, and love. Kendrick thanked Snoop for his wisdom, friendship, and example. Snoop, in turn, praised Kendrick for his leadership and heart. The legacy was no longer theirs alone. It belonged to everyone whose lives had been touched by their work. A decade after that Grammy night, Kendrick found himself once again on the world stage, this time as a mentor and leader. He spoke at conferences, visited schools, and continued to write music with purpose. Snoop, now a revered elder statesman of hip-hop, continued to advocate for youth and community. Together, they launched a foundation, ensuring their mentorship work would last for generations. At the foundation's opening, Kendrick brought his Grammy, no longer just a trophy, but a symbol of what could happen when artists came together. For something bigger than themselves, they dedicated the foundation to every kid who ever dreamed, doubted, or fought to be heard. The message was clear: greatness isn't measured by awards, but by the impact you leave behind. That night, as the sun set over Los Angeles, Kendrick and Snoop stood side by side, looking out at a city transformed by hope, music, and unity. Their story had come full circle, a legacy not just of hits, but of hearts and communities lifted higher together.